Hello, I'm Ralph Albert Thomas, CEO and Executive Director of the New Jersey Society of CPAs. Welcome to another edition of IssuesWatch Extra. Today I'm joined with a couple of representatives and really a couple of friends and colleagues from Capital One. Bill Gascoigne, Senior Vice President, Professional Services Group, and Therese Malilik, the Senior Vice President, Escrow Management. And they're here to discuss the recent findings on an economic survey which polled the sentiment at the local level or the New Jersey level of what's happening in the economy. So, Therese and Bill, welcome.
Thank you.
So glad to have you here. And I really, before we get started, want to thank you for your participation in the survey. Again, this being your second year, we really appreciate that. So, as I mentioned, earlier this year, we teamed up with Capital One for a second year to poll New Jersey members who attended our annual convention and expo in Atlantic City. The purpose of the survey was to gauge the opinions on the economy, the taxation landscape, and the accounting industry in New Jersey for the coming year. So, my first question in that regard is, why CPAs? Why are they such a key group for you all when trying to get a pulse read on New Jersey's economy?
Ralph, we've long considered our friends in the accounting profession to be centers of influence, and as such, I think many of their clients consider them to be their most trusted advisors. So if you take that as a fact, and if you look at the broad array of customers that a typical accounting firm will have across a wide spectrum of industries, and the fact that they're getting close to those customers, doing their taxes, doing their books, it's easy to draw the conclusion that they are in a unique position to have their finger on the pulse of the economy.
Okay, good. Therese, do you feel the same way from your perspective?
Absolutely. Bill and I have been working together in the professional services area, working with accountants and also attorneys for the last 15, 20 years, and we've really seen the benefits of working closely with CPAs because we get a better understanding of their clients and how we can partner with them to solve for their clients' financial needs.
Now, it's so great to hear you both articulate that CPAs are the trusted advisors. It's something that we promote and we talk about a lot, but it's also great to see those who interact with them feel the same way.
Happens to be true.
Well, that's great. That's good. That's what we're about, truth, integrity, and objectivity in the accounting profession. According to AICPA, who is the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants, recently completed their third quarter economic survey. And in their survey, CPA optimism was up on the rise a little bit. But when you look at the survey that we just conducted and just finished, results year over year from last year to this year, we saw a slight decrease or decline in the number of CPAs who expect that their businesses will grow. Why do you think this was the case this year?
I don't think it's any secret, Ralph, that economic activity in New Jersey over the last 5 to 10 years has lagged behind that of the rest of the country. That said, I prefer to look at this as the glass half full. The fact that 60% of the respondents said that economic activity was picking up, I think is a positive thing. Whether or not the economy in Texas or California, some other states, is doing a little better, I can't say. But overall, I think our respondents were feeling pretty good about their prospects and those of their clients.
Therese, you feel the same way?
I do. Putting the survey aside, even talking to other CPAs, we're hearing the optimism and we're seeing it in the business that we're doing. So I think that's really proof too of the survey results.
And it may be that CPAs are just a little guarded sometimes, a little conservative, right, and don't want to, fluff up things too much because of any variance from that. It causes them to have pause. But okay, well that's good. I mean, because I was a little bit concerned, when you see a decline, you say, well, is there something that we're missing out there that we ought to be focused on as a profession to try to attack? So when you interact with your other clients and customers, let's set aside the CPAs, is there a lack of optimism? Do you see less optimism in New Jersey than elsewhere? And if so, what would you attribute that to? I know that's a three-part question, but
I would say that our other professionals are optimistic about the economy. We deal with a lot of attorneys and law firms and engineering firms. But by and large, our accounting firm friends are the most optimistic group of the lot.
Okay.
We're seeing a lot of M&A activity, both amongst their client base, but also amongst themselves. We're involved in 3 or 4 mergers as we speak. Also, IPO activity is up, and demand for consulting services has really grown over recent years. So, although our other clients are optimistic about the economy, I think our accounting firm friends are more so.
Ralph, you mentioned earlier, yes, I do manage our escrow management services at the bank.
Right.
And what I can tell you is that we're seeing an increase in clients' escrow accounts in transactions and also in deposits. So that means there's a lot of good things going on in New Jersey, whether it be real estate closings, whether it be mergers, or, any type of transactions, there's more of them and there's an increase in balances. So that all is positive and good news.
Well, that's good to hear, because that's at least very consistent with other surveys that we've seen on a national basis, which have indicated that M&A activity is on the rise, both in the U.S. and also globally as well. So, one thing that copped out in the survey was that it showed that CPAs are expecting their clients to pay more taxes. Somehow we just can never get away from the tax word in 2015. Do you think that this is an overriding factor in why fewer CPAs expect their businesses, the businesses to grow and their growth this year? Do you think that's playing a part in maybe some of the decline in the optimism?
I would say in a word, no. I mean, no one likes to pay more taxes. Certainly I don't, I'm sure you don't either. But we live and work in New Jersey. It's a high income state, it's a high tax state, it's a very expensive state in which to live and do business. So one corollary of making more money and incomes are on the rise is paying more taxes. That said, based on the respondents to the survey, we still see 60% of the respondents optimistic about the future. And I wouldn't want to single out taxes as being one negative in an otherwise pretty upbeat economy.
Okay. Teresa, do you see anything significant out there or do you see taxes as an overriding from the client base that you deal with?
Well, just by the sheer fact that CPAs are concerned about paying more taxes, as Bill mentioned, they must be optimistic they're making more money. So that, again, I think is a good problem to have, although no one does like paying more taxes. But just by the fact that they're worried about paying more, that to me sends a sign that it's a good economy, or the economy, I should say, is getting better.
Okay. Let's switch to a little bit and look at the other professionals that you work with, the engineers, the doctors, the lawyers. Are they optimistic? Are they more or less optimistic than the CPAs?
I would say the CPAs are the most optimistic of the group. We do bank a number of lawyers and law firms, and they benefit from the same type of underlying economic activity as the accountants. And we talked about IPOs being up, we talked about M&A activity being up, and consulting. If I look at our book of clients that Teresa and I share, we are doing more lending, more consulting, more partner capital lending in particular to the accounting firms. So I see more growth and optimism among our accounting firm friends than I do some of the others. Okay.
Teresa, same, you feel
Yeah.
similar? Okay. Now the big $64,000 question. Like Jeopardy or Wheel of Fortune here. What do you see as the next big opportunity that could make the New Jersey business climate more competitive and more attractive for companies, both companies that are here and companies that are looking to relocate to just a great area? Is there that one big opportunity?
Ralph, I don't think there's one magic bullet or one thing that you can do that's all of a sudden going to make our New Jersey economy, spring ahead of all of our other competitors. It's no secret that the local Jersey economy has lagged behind that of a number of our peers over the last 5 to 10 years. And this in the realm of, to your question, the first thing you need to do is realize there might be a problem and address the problem. And because the economy hasn't been growing and because other states are doing relatively better, I think you need to look inward and figure out why that is. One thing that would occur to me is convening some type of blue ribbon panel, getting a broad spectrum of folks from different industries and putting them in a room for weeks or months in an apolitical fashion and let them figure out some of the things that might lead us to be more competitive. They need to look at things like taxation, fiscal and monetary policy. They need to look at regulation, certainly land use and zoning. One problem in Jersey is we just don't have a lot of vacant land left. Recently, Tesla put out to bid for a giant battery factory, and Jersey would never be included on that because of the land issue. We need to look at taxation. We need to look at the demographics, changing population trends, and then come up with a series of recommendations that could inure to the benefit of New Jersey. But unfortunately, I don't see one quick fix.
Okay. Therese, do you see that home run or grand slam that could, turn the tide here in New Jersey? Or
I agree with Bill. I don't think there is one answer or one solution to this problem, but two things I think, and we talked a lot about taxes today. I think tax benefits or tax reform would really help. But another thing I think is our neighbors over the Hudson River in New York. You may have seen the ads promoting small businesses or businesses to start up in New York and offering a lot of tax incentives. I think some type of tax incentives or something to promote or the state and to bring businesses in would be a great help. And I think that would be a great program.
One thing we've seen, Ralph, over the last 5 years is the economic pie in New Jersey. It's just not growing. It's been sort of stagnant. So rather than worrying about how to redistribute the pie, we need to worry about how to grow the pie. And I think this blue ribbon panel and picking the brains of a lot of diverse different people could help us come up with a blueprint to compete effectively with some of the southern states that are doing quite well, or relatively better than New Jersey. We're still doing okay. We could do better.
Yeah. One of the big questions or issues that always comes up when you talk about changing tax policy or offering more incentives is the question of how do we pay for it? Yep. And that seems to always stifle the conversation. Right. Because no one has the perfect answer or an answer that the group can get behind and rally behind to affect those kinds of things. I think sometimes it's a little short-sighted in that we fail to look futuristically as to the potential opportunities that may be lost by attracting more companies here by doing something today. They'll bring in more people, opportunity, etc. So maybe that's one of the conversations that we need to have is get people to think more futuristic and the downstream ramifications, or on the flip side, the unintended consequences by not doing something today because of that question of how do we pay for it and see how. Well, again, I want to thank you all for being here today with us. It's been great to have this conversation, and I look forward to our continued partnership. And really just thank you for being here. And I want to thank all of you, too, who are watching this, Issues Watch Extra, this edition, and where we've got some, I think, some sage wisdom on some of the things that are happening here, but also to get a better understanding of why the financial services community is very, very, very closely knitted with the CPA profession.
Well, thank you very much.
So thank you both.
Thank you.